It's an unstoppable day, family. I'm Terrance, the unstoppable Coach Leffridge, and you're in for a new episode of the Next Level Living Show with Coach Terrance. Thank you for joining us again for this wonderful episode where we talk to ordinary people with unstoppable stories that are doing extraordinary things to live their life on the next level of their greatness. The Next Level Living Show looks to expose you to new talents, looks to have you hear from empowering people with great stories of overcoming and how they were able to move to the next level of their greatness so that somebody watching this show, either live or in the replay, can be moved to the next level of their greatness. I started this show many years ago because I knew that it was important for this platform to take place. Many of us are trying to get our message out to the world, but we can't afford to go through mainstream media, either financially or the time it takes to get that connection that can get us into the studio, get us into the radio station, get us on the TV show. Our message is too important to wait. So this is an opportunity for up and coming coaches, speakers, authors, entrepreneurs to come and share their message on our platform to help you not only move to the next level of your greatness, but to be inspired and motivated at the next time. So at the same time, rather. So I am glad that you're here. I'm glad you took time out of your evening. You could have been doing anything else right now, but you're here at the Next Level Living Show, and we thank you for being here. Now, a couple of housekeeping rules as we get started with the Next Level Living Show and our unstoppable guest that we're going to have this evening that's going to talk to you about love and talk to you about how love can heal and transform you in wherever it is you are to wherever it is you're trying to go. I want you to get interactive with us this evening. Look above you. If you look above you, you'll see that you've got the Facebook like button. You've got the Facebook share button. You've got the Twitter button. You've got the Google Plus button, you've got the LinkedIn button, and you've got the Pinterest button. Every one of those buttons, we want you to connect to your tribe, to your circle of influence, and let them know that the Next Level Living Show is on the air right now, ready to motivate you, expose you, and move you to the next level of your greatness. And if you really want to get interactive with us, if you like what the guest is saying this evening, if you're moved to give us a comment or ask a question, just look down below and you'll see the click here button, which takes you over to the Next Level Living Show Facebook group. We'll be checking the group throughout the broadcast, and if there's any questions or comments, we'll get them on the air. And we'll also expose you for who you are and what you do, whether it's a business or it's a ministry. So we want you to click on and get into the Facebook group. Let us know who you are, where you're from, and what your business or ministry is so that we can expose you on the Next Level Living Show. We're also looking for sponsorship opportunities. So if your business would like to be a sponsor of the Next Level Living Show, where we would broadcast your business throughout the broadcast, and then we would broadcast your information on our Facebook group and in our social media feeds for the next 2 weeks, then I want you to get in contact with me at the Next Level Living Show. That's Next Level Living Show at gmail.com. And let's have a conversation. We've got a number of different rates that can fit into your budget so that you can get the exposure that you need for your business or your ministry. So check us out at the Next Level Living Show, Next Level Living Show at gmail.com. And one of our show producers will get back in contact with you to get you started as being a sponsor on the Next Level Living Show, where we talk to ordinary people doing extraordinary things to live their life on the next level. Hey, we've got another great speaker for you here tonight. She's not just a speaker. To say she's a speaker would be putting her in a box. But this next guest, this phenomenal woman, definitely lives outside of the box. She's a mother. She's an author. She's a speaker. She's a spoken word artist. She's a songwriter. She's a singer and she's a facilitator of her own weekly teleconference show that's actually going to be on after this broadcast tonight. And she'll share more information about that with you when we bring her on the call. But without further ado, we want to introduce to you the great Acquilla Carolina. Acquilla, are you on the broadcast?
I hope so. Hi.
Hey, hey, how are you this evening?
Good. How are you? Thank you for
Oh,
that wonderful introduction.
you are very welcome. Welcome to the Next Level Living Show. Thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your busy schedule with all the phenomenal things you do to bless our show.
Thank you for having me. It
All
definitely
right, so let's get started. So we want to make sure that we give you all the time to bless our audience with your not only your story, but your wonderful things that you do and the things that you can do for our audience going forward after tonight. So as always, I like to ask my guests, every one of my guests, this one simple question. So Acquilla, what does it mean to you to live your life on the next level?
living my life on the next level means always progressing, always moving forward, and being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because I've learned in my journey through my few decades of being here that getting complacent is definitely not a state to be in. And with having goals and ambitions, and once you learn your purpose, you can't stop. I know I can't stop. Even my son, he'll say, Mommy, you can't stop. You're helping people. And that next level is reaching that point where there is no level. So it's understanding that those levels constantly change and constantly change, like walking up a staircase. Once you get to step three, you know there's still another step. And sometimes you can't see all of the steps that are there, but you know that you're going to keep walking until you can't walk anymore.
Oh, I love it. And I love that you mentioned your son. Your son, I believe your son's name is Savan and he's 6, is that right?
Right. He's about to be 7.
About to be 7. That's a wonderful thing. So you've got a lot of motivation right there in your own home to be the phenomenal woman that you are. So take a few minutes and tell us a little bit more about who you are. What's not on the paper? Tell us about Acquilla Faye.
What's not on the paper? Well, I want to take you through like a small journey. So, as you mentioned, I write songs, but I also like to take songs and intertwine them into my spoken word. And so, to me, life is a melody, and as you go through, there's always different points that you hit. So, I remember this song by NDRE, and it would always just say, thinking the faster that I go, the faster that I will reach my goals. But the race is not given to the swift, but to the one who endureth. And as we go through life, a lot of times we think that we have to take one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, instead of just taking one and then pausing to look around, to breathe and enjoy the air that's coming in, to enjoy the people that we're interacting with, to enjoy our mistakes as much as our triumphs and our victories, and to enjoy those learning experiences, knowing that sometimes you got to be still. Sometimes you just have to slow down. Like India Reed said, her mother said in the back of her head, slow down, baby, you're going too fast. You got your hands in the air with your feet on the gas. You're gonna wreck your future, running from your past. You gotta slow down, baby. And when you slow down, you start to appreciate all of the things that God brings to you. I know for me as a child, there was so many turbulent, terrifying situations that arose. But I was always told to go back to my Bible, go back and pray, remember to love. And that carried me. And it helped me as I got older to just have this level of devotion and dedication, not just to myself, but a gratitude to God for being there with me and carrying me when other people, even as a youth, didn't know what I was going through. And so I ended up one day just being in praise and those melodies of life. And it was just like, Lord, you are. Lord, you are everything I want. You are everything I need. You are everything to me. You are everything. And a lot of times we have to realize that God is the one that carries us, or Allah, or Yahweh, or Elohim, or whatever divine spirit we know is the creator of all, is there as we transition through the different ups and downs of life, which is why you hit those points in your life where you're thinking to yourself, how did I get here? How did I make it? I remember when everything was so overwhelming that my mind couldn't even focus, but yet I'm still standing here and thought that I would fall, thought that I would fade, thought that you wouldn't make it to the next phase of your life, getting to the next level. And you remember that you never would have made it without God. You would have lost it all. But you're stronger, you're wiser, you're better, much better. When you look back on what he's brought you through, now you know he's the one you held on to. And it helps you to realize that you're so much more than what people see. You're so much more than what people hear. You're so much more than what you've been through. And you can sing to yourself a melody now, even when no one's around or someone is around. Just remind yourself that you are not your hair, you are not your skin, you are the strength that lives within. And just remember the melodies of life, because they'll carry you like the wind that blows, and the birds that sing in the morning, and the stars that twinkle with the moon, and the blankets of clouds that comfort you. You're never alone, and you're always going. You're always going to persevere. You're always going to make it. You're always beautiful. Like a butterfly. Who knew? A butterfly can't see its own beauty, and sometimes neither do we. And we have to have somebody else there to remind us how wonderful, how beautiful, how great we are. So,
Wow. Wow. We're talking to the songstress, Acquilla Faye, on the Next Level Living show. I was just mesmerized by how you were able to blend the melody of the song in with the message that you were portraying with the words, and so you truly are blessed with that skill, and you truly are an accomplished spoken word artist. So we are definitely glad to have this next level guest on our show this week. But let's dig a little deeper. Let's dig with who Acquilla is and how she got to the point where she is now. Because on our show, there's always a young person, a young female, a young male that is trying to get to the next level of their greatness. And we all know you can't be what you can't see. And many times in our community, we don't see what the next level of our greatness is. We see mediocrity, we see average, we see less than, we see settling. And the next level means there's more. The next level means that there's something greater. The next level means there's something to rise up to. But in order for us to appreciate the next level of somebody else's story, we've got to know how they got to the next level. So how did you, Acquilla, get to where you are? What have you been through? What do you want to share with our audience on how you have gotten to the next level of your greatness?
whoo, if I told you everything I've been through, this would be a 24-hour broadcast. And I
Hey,
don't
I
want
control the show. Come on
I'm
with
like, oh my God, we would not stop. It'd be like, for real? And then what? And what? What I want to share are some of the common things I think that people may be able to relate to. Um, the very, very young Acquilla, like the 3, 4, 5-year-old Acquilla, that Acquilla experienced being violated, meaning another person decided to invade my body prior to me starting kindergarten. And it happened to be a person whom I trusted very, very, very much. Um, I assumed he was my brother. Later on, like 12, 12, 13 years later, found out he wasn't. So I felt better about that. So I grew up thinking I was a victim of incest, which is a horrible, horrible thing to think about. But I never shared it because I was like, man, this is like, stereotypical, how you see in like, what do they say, like West Virginia movie, this isn't real, oh my God, type of situation. Um, and then starting in kindergarten, my favorite uncle on my dad's side, unfortunately, the night before I started school, he was going for a walk. He told me he loved me. We hugged, we kissed. And when I woke up, he was laying on the ground and he wasn't moving. And it turned out he had tripped on a rock and had stabbed himself in the stomach and bled out. Now, at that point in my life, that was a really big lesson for who I am now about things are going to happen. You're going to lose people sometimes. Sometimes you're going to be there to witness it. And in my life, I've actually witnessed most of the people I really care about pass away. I take it as a blessing to be there for those people when they left this earth, and also as a lesson of resilience and strength to understand that there's a lot of things in life that can't be controlled. And those things do not have to define our outlook to be negative. For me, and this is being honest, I didn't take it like, oh my God, I'm a horrible person, or why did God do this? I honestly just looked at it and was like, wow, I don't like this. I cried a lot. I cried tremendously. But again, it was the first day of school, and my mother and father told me, you gotta get your book bag, get your shoes, call your grandma, tell her what happened, get in the car, have a good day at school. That moment in itself, in addition to being violated prior to that moment, laid a foundation for me that God is truly with me and that I'm truly blessed and that there's going to be a lot of things that are going to rise up to try to stop me from being happy. And I refused to be happy. I grew up in a multi-generational home with my grandmother, my grandfather, my mother. When I was younger, my uncle, my aunt, and my cousin were all in the house together. And there was a lot of love there in that household. Um, it was just, I don't know, it was real country. So we had hogs, we had chickens, we had acres of gardens, we had flower gardens, collard green gardens, apple trees, plum trees, grapevines. I mean, we had everything that you could think of, to be honest with you. The only thing we got from the grocery store might have been some beef, because my grandfather said he had a cow when I was little. It was too hard to kill it. He had to hang it in a tree. He didn't want to go through all that anymore, so we didn't have a cow when I got old enough to remember the animals we had. But I do remember having to go to the chicken pen and like come home from school, which was a journey in itself. I'd walk down the street. One of my neighbors had some goats. So I learned how to run really, really fast just from going to school. So it was like run, run, run. The goats are out the pen. Boom. So hitting it. Boom, boom, running. Then get past them. The other neighbor had these dogs. I don't know. They think they were lions or wolves. They were crazy. They were really like, every day. So then you got past them, you got past the goats, you got to walk for a minute. You're like, okay, hit it again, boom, running, running, running. So that helped me with my track career in middle school and high school. But then when I got home, I had chores, starting with go to the chicken house, get the chickens water, get them their feed, get the eggs, come in the house, wash the doo-doo off the eggs, put them where they're supposed to go give the hogs the slop that they're supposed to eat, then come back up, rake the yard, then do your homework. Then after that, you can watch TV and play. Amazingly, I still had the energy to watch TV and play. And a lot of times I like to draw. We had encyclopedias back then. And
What?
I used to really
What are
enjoy,
those?
you know,
What you
like
what you
nobody
call
uses those anymore. I'm like, dude, like,
what?
and those old books. And you were like, oh, we got money. We got 2 sets. Woo!
Wow.
Britannica. I used to, woo, that was my favorite book. That and the Thesaurus were my favorite books when I was little. And so my free time, I would read that. And then I would draw the pictures of the whales and I would draw the pictures of the horses. And I think I just always loved how free animals were, that they were just them. Like, they could care less if you, they didn't even know if you thought anything about them because they didn't think anything about you. They were just beautiful in their environment, and they had so many intricate details, even though they appear to be like a simple draw, that it was really a very good relaxation exercise as I think about it now. It just was real peaceful for me. And so that's like a little bit of like my childhood. Going into the Middle Ages, unfortunately, a lot of dangers happened outside of my house due to people of me trusting too easily, um, thinking people were my friends who weren't, and having them to set up situations where I'd be violated again. And I'm like, this is crazy. Like, who goes through this? You know? And for people to say we're doing it to you, because I was bold. So I'd be like, why are you about to do this to me? Because of a situation where I couldn't get out anyway. So I'm like, at least let me understand why I'm about to go through this. And they're like, because you're pretty. And when you get older, we can say X, Y, Z, and the third. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Um, but yet I still didn't not love people. And I didn't take the transgressions of others against me against other people. There was a time when I got angry, and that happened around 14, 16, up in that time frame. And I think it was because nobody took time to listen to me or understand my emotions. Because as a teenager, people have these stereotypes like, oh, you're a teenager, you're not going through anything, you're too young to be stressed, you don't have bills, whatever have you. But I started working full time at 13 and a half. So I was pulling 40 hours a week at 13 and a half, started at a place. When the lady realized my age, she told me not to say where it was. So I won't say which Hardee's, but it was a Hardee's. And she kept working. She paid me under the table, and then I started working at Burger King and Steak Escape, Food Line. I started doing Vector. I would do hair on the side in addition to working 40 hours a week and still maintain honor roll. Started modeling, doing some acting back then, some print work. So I was very active and engaged. My grandfather always said, handle your business first so you can do what you want to do. And so that resonated with me. And he always said, never let hate in your heart for somebody send you to hell. Because honestly, I used to not be able to stand my father, especially after some of the things that happened in his household. And so, as a little person, my granddaddy kind of saw that about to flare up and was like, and put a stop to it. And was like, nah, don't do that to yourself. And as I got older, I started to understand that message more and more and more. So while I was young, I was living it. But as I got older, I started to have a revelation about the understanding and the wisdom that he gave me. My grandfather left my life at 16, and he was my father figure. That was my rock. That was my guy. Um, he always said you will be a lady, and he ensured that he trained me as such to be around my grandmother, to understand how to cook. When I stopped eating pork, because when I started working, I was like, I'm not eating this food. I don't want to get heart attacks, and I don't want to be big. I'm not doing that. So he said, buy your own food. And I said, I will. And I thought I was proving a point, but really he was teaching a lesson. And he was like, pretty much, if you want something, you work for it, period. Don't expect people to do for you what you want for yourself. And as a child, I kind of got that because I was like, okay, well, I want this food. I'm going to get this job and I'm going to take care of this food because I want to eat this. Then there were other things I wanted to get, certain types of clothes. I wanted to go places. And so, boom, I was able to do that because I was working. I was like, I'll give you gas money, take me to work. I would walk to work if I didn't have a ride. So my work ethic of not really sleeping a lot, but not being tired, that developed when I was young because I learned that you work hard. And if you're doing the right thing, God's still going to provide for you. And it's not to say that I was always holier than thou or anything like that. I had my moments where every other word was profane, especially after my grandfather passed. I went into like an angry phase because I love that man very, very, very much. And I didn't appreciate that he was gone. Even though he told me he'd be gone, he left me in charge of making sure that the adults did what he wanted for his funeral, which I thought was a lot of responsibility at 16 to tell some grown folks, well, granddaddy said X, Y, Z. And they're like, we're going to do A, B, C. And I'm like, no, you're not. Granddaddy said do it this way. And so I always had a boldness. he really made sure that I wasn't scared to speak. He made sure that I functioned with integrity and honor. He went to the Navy, and he saw one of his friends. He was in World War II. He was on a ship. They got bombed. He had to get a hip replacement. One of his friends had passed away, of course. And he told me stories from that, and he would always tell it to me in like parables so that I could get an understanding later. And one thing he always said was have honor, always face people. Like, never be scared to face a person. Everybody was created by God. Everybody's equal. It doesn't matter what you look like, what your age is, where you're from, where you're not from, what you have, what you don't have. If you're beautiful, that's awesome. That doesn't make you better than anybody. If you're smart, that's wonderful. That's a blessing. It doesn't make you better than anybody. You can always learn, and you still be humble no matter what you do. You let your work speak for you. You don't have to sit up here and showboat or anything else. You just be the best person that you're supposed to be, and you make sure that you appreciate people. And
Wow.
that's
Sounds
what I
like
was
you
raised with all the time.
You sound like you had a wonderful grandfather, and
Yeah.
I just wanted to jump in and say you're watching the Next Level Living Show with Coach Terrance, and we are showcasing Acquilla Faye. Acquilla Faye is going to be talking to us this evening about how love heals. But right now, she's telling us her story, and it is a powerful story. It is a story of trials. It's a story of tests. It's a story of tribulations. It's a story of awakenings and understandings just in the brief amount of things that she's told us right now. And I want to interject here because you work with youth now, and I think this is a good time to transition to those takeaways that you got from your youth and how you use those takeaways in working with the youth that you work with now in your group called Our Efforts United. So why don't you tell us a little bit about Our Efforts United? And then, I wrote down some takeaways because you were just throwing out nuggets. So I want you to speak on how you relate these nuggets back to them. You talked about if you want it, work for it. And then that phrase that your grandfather said that just, wow, just took me away. Never let the hate in your heart send you to hell. Wow. How do you share that with the youth that you work with now?
In Our Efforts United and in teaching, I share that through actually just being a role model and exemplifying that. And also through, I'm going to call it tough encouragement. So
Okay.
it's very straightforward. I don't hold bars. They'll tell you that. They're like, I'm very silly. I'm very funny. But at the same time, I don't hold bars. I don't sugarcoat. If you're not doing your work and you're talking about, I don't understand, but you're not putting forth effort, I will definitely let you know that you have to do your part. Everybody can't do it for you. Your brain is so beautiful, and it works just as well as mine or anybody else who's around you. And you have to be willing to utilize that. Um, I bring in different people to talk to them and share about entrepreneurship, different careers, health and fitness. We recently did a parent resource fair in December where we brought a bunch of people together in the community. We had about 9 vendors. We had about 50 attendees. Um, it was only for about an hour and a half. And it was a beautiful mosaic of community resources ranging from drumming to arts and crafts, massages, aromatherapy, and organizations that give back to other organizations so that youth can see that this family time, like coming together with your family, is so important. And the thing about it is, I don't just share what I learned in my youth, I share my experiences all the time with them to let them know that no matter how old you get, no matter how young you are, there's always going to be situations. Um, Most recently, like in October of this year, as a matter of fact, my grandmother passed. And my grandmother, she was a beautiful spirit. I take after her family a lot. And I also, earlier last year, I was expecting a little person. The little person didn't make it. So I missed 2 weeks of working. And my students were very concerned. And in all honesty, I shared with them that these two tragic things happened. And I had to take 2 weeks to myself just so I would be in the moment. It taught me to be in the moment. And I use that with them to let them know that there's going to be things that will always happen in your life, always, that you don't expect, you don't plan for it, you definitely don't enjoy. But at the same time, those situations can't stop you. And because of that, it propelled me to do more events. It propelled me to do more speaking. It propelled me to share more with the students about strategies for how to deal with their stress. I do meditation with my students because I currently teach. I do meditation with them. Even when we do events, I'll do prayer or meditation or a showcasing of people's gifts because I find that to be important. I have people to share their journeys all the time. I let my students know that I write for Simply Elevate magazine, where I have inspiring articles that they can actually read. I have them share in the beginning of class like good news, or they can sit down and talk to me at lunchtime about things that are going on. Or even in the middle of class, I might step away if I notice something is going on with them. I just show them care and consideration, and I acknowledge that they're people. It's not like a really intense formula. It's more of a humility and understanding that just because I'm grown and I have this understanding, they're little, they're young, they don't have these many years of experience, but they may have some very tremendous experiences. And if no one takes time to talk to them and understand, then they can't understand themselves and they have to figure it out. And God forbid if they don't have some type of spiritual foundation, a mentor, positive friendship, some type of positive something in their lives to nurture them, because then they're really going to get caught up in their feelings and emotions of confusion. And that confusion can lead to an anger, which can lead to a disconnect for even thinking they can be better than their circumstances. And they'll think that their circumstances actually define them. And so even when I reach out to other people for partnerships, it's important to me that those people understand that it's not just about the children, it's about the whole family unit. It's about rebuilding the village and bringing that care and that love back to the village. So that's what our efforts united is.
Wow. I love it. Acquilla Faye on the Next Level Living show. So, with all these things that you do, all the teaching, the spoken word artists, the working with our efforts united, what would you say Acquilla Faye's mission is?
My mission is to rebuild the village by bringing love back.
Wow, that's a mouthful. Tell us about that.
Um, a lot of times we were coming up or we hear like people back in the day we had a community. Back in the day, you got in trouble, the neighbor up the street would get you, your aunt would get you, then your family would get you. Or you could be in a store and it wasn't about getting in trouble, but people would actually sit down and talk to their elders. Um, I actually had a poem and I said the elders used to sit down with the youth to discuss the history of us. Now they just shake their heads with disgust. And so there's been a transition in the interactions that we have and share with each other where it's no longer communicating for the sake of learning or for the sake of just saying, I love you, I care. Let's just talk. Let's bond. Now it's like, well, I'm on my phone. I'm on my app. I'm playing this game. I gotta go to work. I gotta stop paying get something to eat. I don't have time to listen to you. You da 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 da. I got my own stuff going on. And people have gotten so selfish and so independent and so much in the race that they forgot that we live in a society where we need to socialize. And one of the most wonderful things about being a person is the ability to interact with various people. Unlike just an animal who only deals with the same type of animal, we have the ability to deal with, interact with, and learn from a plethora of people of all age groups, of all nationalities. Um, my circle itself, my friends range from my age group and a little bit younger, all the way up to their late 70s. People who look like me and people who look nothing at all like me. One of the people I admire the most is an Indonesian man who's in his 70s, and he's in an interracial relationship, and he's has a PhD. He's very intelligent, and this man is awesome, and that's my friend, even though I'm very young, because I understand that people are more than just how you want to box them in and see them. People have a soul, people have thoughts, people have feelings and expressions. And I think the best way to bring that into the forefront is to create events, experiences, and opportunities for people to be able to engage with each other and reignite that spirit inside that says, oh my goodness, there's a lot that we have in common, or you know what, I didn't know that people actually experienced that, or I didn't know there was a way to tie my shoe differently, or I didn't know that there were Africans in Japan. I didn't know. And the more you realize you don't know, the more open you become to knowing more. And it just creates this fondness amongst people. It creates a camaraderie amongst people. It creates a bond, and especially in the family unit where you had no choice but to be in that unit. I think we have to foster more opportunities for families to come together versus, well, this is an all kid event, so parents go home. This is an adult event, you can't bring your kids. It's like even in society, we're separating out everybody like without thinking about it on a subconscious level because we're like, well, this is the group I'm dealing with, so nobody else can be there. This is for men, women stay out. This is for women, men stay out. But then we'll talk about, well, how can we come together as men and women? How can we come together as a family? I don't know. How about we just come together? That's how I look at it. You know what I mean?
you
Like,
know, and I said in our promos this week that sometimes life is so simple, but we make it so complicated. So many times the answer is just like a child's mind.
right,
You say go outside, they go outside. But when you talk to an adult and you say go outside, they're saying, am I going outside to the backyard? Am I going outside to the front yard? Am I going outside to the car? Am I going outside to the store? Sometimes we get so complicated, we get so focused on all the minutia around just doing something instead of just simply doing something. So, when you talk about that, your mission is to rebuild the village, and you're going to rebuild the village by bringing love back in simple terms. And we can do this because both of you and I are both Ruben West Black Belt speakers. So, how do we bring the love back to the village?
when I think about love, you know, some people know there's like philos, eros, and agape love. For those who don't, philos love is like a brotherly love, like you're my sister, you're my friend. A lot of times that can be conditional. It's like I love you as long as you're doing, you got my back. But as soon as you don't have my back or support what I'm doing, I may not really care about you that much. Um, then you have the Eros love, which is that touchy feely type of kiss. I just want to touch you type of love, that romantic interaction. Then you have agape love, which is a godly love, an unconditional love, a love that doesn't question, a love that's forgiving, a love that can transcend situations. I focus on that agape love to the best of my ability. Um, and I try to demonstrate that to the best of my ability because I know that I'm not perfect, nor is anyone else. But we can become perfect the more that we practice something. Um, and so bringing that love back, it's about, when I think of the word love, I think about one, listening, being willing to just listen, taking your mouth and just going and letting your ears listen because you have two ears and one mouth. And I know we've heard that before. And you also have two eyes. So your eyes and your ears focused on a person, whether they're talking about how they had a wonderful event, they're talking about an anniversary, they're just sharing that they like puppies in the color blue. It doesn't matter. Just being there for that person and being open, understanding that it's not about what you think, what you experience, or how you perceive somebody having to do something. It's about being open to the realities that other people experience, having versatility. So not boxing yourself in to only dealing with a certain group of people or boxing yourself in to only functioning in a certain type of way, but allowing yourself to flow like water along rocks or a riverbank to where you're exploring new territories just from simply being willing to, which then causes the elevation of all people and the community because it's forging a bond without forcing a bond. It'll become genuine. It'll become authentic. And so it's to create situations where people can authentically enjoy each other. You could think about it. I'm from the South, so you could think about it like going to church when you have refreshments afterwards. At my church that I go to, Unity of the
Okay.
we always have food, and people just sit there and talk. And it's not that they're simply talking about the service, but you'll talk about, well, where do you work? Oh, you have kids? Oh, wow, you like to jog? I just did a marathon. Like, that conversation is so elevating, and it's so inspiring just in itself to know that someone cares to hear what you have to say. And sometimes it's not even the words, it may just be a hug, it may just be a smile, it may just be simple eye contact. And that in itself brings a love. It's understanding that love is more than touching and feeling and actually like you come over to my house all the time. Love is just a genuine care and respect for other people because they're people.
Wow. We're talking to Acquilla Faye. We're talking on the Next Level Living Show with Coach Terrance. Thank you guys for being a part of this show this evening. Just wanted to shout out real quickly a couple of people who registered for tonight's show. We've got Annette Reed. We've got goes by the surname of Blush. That's Blush Boutique on Twitter. We've got Brandy. We've got Brandy. Brandy,
My dude, you
yes, you know it. We've got Dee Dee Walker. We've got Ladarius Turner. We've got Nisa Mahala. And we've got the Princess Poet on Twitter. So thank you all for registering for the Next Level Living Show. Thank you for being a part of this broadcast. Thank you for joining us as we showcase Acquilla Faye this evening. Acquilla is working on bringing love back to the village. That's her mission. And you know, you do this through many different ways, but you're doing something new right now. And actually, it's going to be happening right after this broadcast. It's the Empowered Moments Together group. Tell us about that group and why you're so excited about that group that's happening with you.
EMT, Empowering Moments Together. One, of course, you hear in the title, we're together. So I'm all about togetherness and unity. I think that we need to do more of that. And a phone call is something that we all do all the time, and it's so simple. It's easy to pick up your phone. It's so easy. And the Facebook group is a place for us to interact and share about the positive things that are going on, but also a place where I do coaching as well. I've coached some people, and it's been awesome. And I continue to coach people one on one or in small groups. And this is like a small open group light coaching session to where say it's not so positive. You can get that motivation. You can learn about meditation techniques. You can get some strategies. You can get some exercises that will help you to change and shift your perspective. We don't realize how powerful our thoughts and our words are. Our thoughts become our words, and our words become our actions. And I believe in the law of attraction. So what we are and what we do is what we draw to ourselves. And so this group is an opportunity for us to come together and draw in a lot of those positive things, positive phrases, positive outlooks, in order to go back into this world where we know there's a lot of chaos and be able to just start and dispel it and have a strategy for ourselves, because we're not always going to be upbeat. That's unrealistic. But we can make the choice to be happy and recognize and accept that, you know what, this is an upbeat situation, but I'm happy to go through it because I learned a lesson. And so that's what the group does. And we do have a call this evening at 9:30, and the number is 641-715-3580. And the access code is 846-908 pound. And so that goes on at 9:30 every Thursday.
And that's 9:30 Eastern time, right?
Correct.
Okay. Why don't you give that number one more time to the Empowering Moments Together group?
It's And the access code is 846908
Fabulous. And I love the concept because, again, it's a simple way for the village to come together. Many times, we, as you said earlier, we just don't simply talk to each other. We'll text each other, we'll FaceTime each other, we'll send somebody an email, we'll send a block text to 25 people. And as it seems, the more fancier technology gets, the more disconnected we come. And so to be able to hear your voice, or to have a show like this where we can actually see you and hear you, where we can not only hear the expression in your voice, but we can see the animation on your face, that it's almost as close as you can be to being with you in the same room. And I think the way we're going to save villages is if we can get more villagers into the same room at the same time. I know that it worked hundreds of years ago. I know
Yes.
it worked 50 years ago. I know it worked even 20 years ago. If you can get the village together, get them out for a barbecue, get them out for a night in the neighborhood, see the kids playing double dutch and hopscotch, and seeing the elders of the community sitting playing cards or throwing bones, or what you were saying down in North Carolina, if you're just down on the farm and you're just seeing the simplicity of life, that's going to breathe life back into the community, back into the village. And the other thing that we really haven't touched on a lot, that love that is shared within the village, that simplicity of talking to each other, a fellowshipping with each other after church, like you said, that's what's going to start the healing process in our village. Because, Akila, I don't know about you, but the villages in which I live, there's hurting going on. There's some intense hurt going on, and there is a need for healing. What do you think about that?
Well, that's actually, I guess you could say, one of my taglines is love heals. But not for real, love heals. I believe that wholeheartedly. With all the stuff that I've been through, the situations I've been through, people just being very dishonest, hurtful, damaging, all these things, and I've seen other people go through the same type of stuff. If I didn't know how to love, and I didn't first love myself to know what loving me even felt like, because some people don't know what it even feels like to be loved because they forgot how to love themselves and appreciate themselves and see the beauty in themselves. And that happens, just like I said, the melodies of life. Thus is life. You go through those things. But once you know love, once you feel love, you're not going to stay in a place where there's not love. And one thing about that, when you said the hurt villages, once I had my son, one of the things that I did, my friend girl was like, "You're supposed to write a book. When you gonna write this book?" Da 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 da. So after I had my son, I thought about how men are always typecast, how men are always looked at as, this really bad guy. People forget that men are people and they have emotions too. And we think of man, we think of man and woman, child, or elderly, all of that. And so I came up, well, God gave me this book, The Men We Choose. And it's available on Smashwords and Amazon.com as an ebook. But what it does, it describes 27 different types of men. And it does it in poetry and prose. And then it also has these nice little areas, if y'all can see. Let me bring it for you.
Yes, that's nice.
The journal.
Okay.
So I believe in reflection and introspection because it's easy to judge somebody, but it takes a lot more time to go into yourself. So building that village also starts from within. So you go from self and then you go to your circle. And it's like the ripple effect of throwing a rock in the water. Those ripples keep going forever and ever and ever and ever into the ocean. And so even with that book, when I was on Blog Talk Radio with Still Magazine, the men were like, wow, somebody who's advocating for us, somebody who gets us, somebody who's actually describing how we think and how we feel without being condescending. It's more like an encyclopedia, like just some information put in a really fun way. It's not overwhelming. Some of the poetry ranges up to 11 pages because we always have narratives. We always have people just talking about, well, girl, he did this and blah, blah, blah. Or the guys being like, sisters don't understand, or women don't get it. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. I'm not knocking that. But what I am saying is there comes a point where we have to be responsible for our choices. And we also have to be loving of the people that we're choosing to be and the people that we're choosing to interact. And in order to do that, we have to have clarity on who these folks are and understand that if I want somebody who does construction, I can't get with or be around like C-level executives and expect them to be okay with going out and getting dirty and pouring concrete when my cousin's house needs to be fixed, because that's not what they do. And so you can't get mad at people for playing their role and staying in their lane. Instead, understand that the highway has multiple lanes for a reason and understand what each lane is about so that you don't wreck.
Wow. And again, that goes back to your village. That goes back to loving within the village, because there is not a typical man in every village. And that's why your book has 27 different types of men. In order for us to heal that village with that love, then we've got to know the villagers within our village. And the only way we're going to know the villagers within our village is if we come together and have that conversation in love, not in hurt, not in unrealistic expectations, not in assumptions, not in low self-esteem, and not in just settling that the village is going to take care of itself. So I'm glad you wrote that book. And how can they get a copy of that book again?
Type in The Men We Choose in Amazon.com. You can download it on your Kindle or into Smash Words, like smash a potato, smashwords.com. And something that you said about people being in the hurt, the depression, the sadness, the anger, the disillusion, the confusion, with the way society is, those are realities. And I strongly believe we have to accept people where they are, but you don't have to leave people where they are unless they tell you, hey, I really, really don't want to change. And in that case, you do have to let people be who they want to be, but still love them and just understand right now isn't the time. But you may say something to them today that 5 years from now, when they're sitting there just by themselves, that phrase of, you know what, you could be so much better because I see how intelligent you are. I see you over here analyzing this newspaper and coming up with a whole movie. Everybody can't do that. But that person might not be in a place to receive it at that time. But it doesn't mean you can't plant that seed. So I'm all about planting seeds. When we say with the youth, with the adults, I'm like, people, we have to drop jewels. We have to plant seeds. And not in a way to where we're judging somebody, but just in a way that's natural to whoever you are and however you are and however you talk and wherever environment you may be at that time. So if your words are profane at that time, but you're trying to give a positive message, then that's what it is. If your words are soft and gentle and really just somebody has to listen to hear you, then that's who you are. If you have a loud, powerful voice, then that's who you are. And whoever you are is the way that God designed you to be for a specific reason, because there's certain people who are going to draw to you. And there's certain people that you're going to draw to because they've been assigned to you, whether it's for 5 seconds, 2 seconds, 20 minutes, a day, a year, or a lifetime. And you have a responsibility. We have a responsibility to ourselves and to each other to share the simple gift. And I always say this, the gift of life, to live in the present. The present is a gift. And in that gift, the least that we can do is share who we are with other people and allow other people to share who they are with us, because everybody wasn't able to put their feet on the floor this morning. Everybody wasn't able to take a breath, but you were, I was. And so why don't we just go ahead and connect and share that breath together and expand those breaths in order to transform these areas where people are depressed and sad, because at some point, positivity is going to outweigh negativity. It's going to happen. It may be a little bit harder, but it's going to happen. And it is happening. And I'm sure if you really sat there just for 10 seconds, you would see how it happens every day in your life when you just go.
Wow, I love it. We've been spending time with Acquilla Faye. She's got this wonderful show that's going to be coming on later on this evening called Empowering Moments Together. She's got that call-in number 641-715-3580, and you use the code 846-908-pound. But Acquilla, if somebody wants to have a more deeper conversation with you, if they want to bring you in to speak to their youth group, if they want to bring you in to speak to their village, how can they get in contact with you?
Three ways: Facebook, Acquilla Faye, Acquilla Faye, Acquilla Faye on Facebook. Another thing you can do is email me, aquillafaye@gmail.com. Or honestly, you can just call me 919-378-1691 and leave a message or send a text, whichever works best. If I don't answer, I'll call you back. If I don't respond to your email in 5 minutes, I will respond immediately. And on Facebook, if you message me, I will message you back. You send a friend request along with the message, I will get back in touch with you. So Facebook, Acquilla Faye, email aquillafaye@gmail.com. And that's AQUILLAFAYE@gmail.com or on Facebook. And like I said, my number 919-378-1691. And that's my business number. So if you need to talk to me after hours, Facebook me or email me and we can exchange cell numbers.
Fabulous. So any final thoughts, anything, any one thing in the next minute that you want to leave with our audience tonight, Acquilla?
You can be whatever you want to be. Just be willing to work for it and know that you're capable and know that God put you here for a reason. And if nobody else sees your vision, that's okay, because the vision was given to you. And everything that you need, everyone that you need, like somebody told me before, is waiting for you just to open your mouth. Just like I said, live in the present, live in the gift. You can't receive if your hands are closed, and you can't give if your hands are closed. So you have to be willing to open up like a flower and blossom and allow the sun to shine, and for people to be able to see how beautiful your petals are.
Absolutely phenomenal. We thank you so much for spending your time with us this evening on the Next Level Living Show with Coach Terrance. Acquilla, love you to life. You are phenomenal. You are a beautiful spirit. You are sunshine in the rain. And I want you to come back and visit us on the Next Level Living Show. Definitely bless us with more of your spoken word artistry, and keep us in the loop in any projects that you have going on in the future. Can you do that for us?
I will. And everybody who's able at 9:30 in 30 minutes, don't forget, join us on the call EMT, Empowering Moments Together. That number's been dropped, and you can go on Facebook and type in Empowering Moments Together. The number's there, and you can also see my name there and click it if you forgot how to spell it, because you were like, that's a lot of letters. I get it. I felt the same way. I had to master it. 8 letters plus another 4, 12 letters for my name. I got it. But Empowering Moments Together, you can find my name on there, and also on Our Efforts United, the youth page. Go and like it. And you can find me through those two as well.
All right. And we're also going to post it in the Next Level Living Show group so that you can check her out in the next 30 minutes on the EMT call. And let me throw that number out there just one more time for the slow people in the room: 641-715-3580. And the code is 846-908 pounds. Well, that's our show for this episode of the Next Level Living Show with Coach Terrance. But as always, I want to leave you with my unstoppable thought. Acquilla blessed us this night. She gave us some great, inspiring nuggets. She told us her story. She let us know that love heals. And the one thing she said early on in the conversation, I had to write it down, and she said, you know what, life is going to throw a lot of things at you that's going to try to stop your happiness. She decided that she wasn't going to let anything stop her happiness. And that's my unstoppable thought for you as well. Don't let anything try to stop your happiness, and recognize that love heals. Love heals broken hearts. Love heals unrealistic expectations. Love heals actions that we may not understand but hurt us anyway. Love heals when we are down and feeling low. Love heals when we've settled for something that's less than what we should want out of our life, because we are kings and queens. We are children of the Most High. But sometimes, because of those hurts in our lives, we can't see that. But the Most High loves us. And if it's one thing I know it, love heals. It may take a little bit of time, it may take some more effort on your part and on the village within you live. But if you take the time, and if you truly believe that love will heal all things, and you truly desire to be happy, then, like Aquila said, nothing, no thing will stop your happiness. So, as always, I want you to dream big, aim high, and believe in the impossible, and never, ever settle for less when you can be unstoppable. As always, we don't want you to just have a great week. We want you to have an unstoppable week. And until the next Level Living Show comes on the air again, here's to living your life on the next level. Take care, family.
Take care.